So, as opposed to our tradition so far, which is an invitation to make big changes and do a deep self-evaluation, I'm going to invite you not to do any of that this year. And I'd like to remind you just of one dream that our patriarch Jacob had. In the Torah, we're told a dream, you might recall, about a ladder. Jacob had a dream where he saw angels going up and down a ladder. In our tradition, that image of going up and down a ladder has become very much central for centuries in what Jewish spiritual life and Jewish spirituality is all about, that ladder. And the insight is that we all are, in many ways, in a ladder. Whether it's regarding our health or our knowledge or any trait, we are at some point, probably not at the top, hopefully not at the bottom. And sometimes some things we do move us up one rung, we improve. Sometimes some things we do make us go down one rung and we don't improve. Maybe we even go further down. Everything we do can elevate us or bring us down. And it's a great and old practice in Jewish spirituality that before we do anything, that what we ask is this going to bring me up in a ladder, or is this going to bring me down? It's a wonderful practice to ask this as we begin the day and as we end the day. Have I done things today that somehow elevated me? Have done things that did not? So having that ladder in mind, what I'm going to invite you today on Rosh Hashanah for this new year is not to make big changes, but to make one step, just one step, but one step up in that ladder. Just one step up. Now, there are many ways of doing this. There are many areas in our life where we can do this. And I'll try to suggest a simple way of doing this, and I'll suggest that you take 4 steps up in 4 different areas of life for this year. The first is exactly what you're doing now today, which is synagogue life, prayer, our religion, our tradition. And going one step up is very simple. If there's a Friday night and it's 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. and in your home Shabbat has not arrived, or usually doesn't arrive, or sometimes, you can take one step up, and that step is get 2 candles and light them with your family. One simple step. But that simple step will connect you with other Jews, with Jewish life, with your past generation, with our tradition, with Judaism. One step. If you already do that at home, you may want to try then one more step. Come to services. Join us every Friday at Beth Shalom. We have a smaller crowd usually on Fridays at Beth Shalom, but still a great spirit, and the sermons usually are shorter. So that's many ways of encouraging you to be there. But this is really where Jewish life happens, where Jewish tradition and Jewish religion happens. And it's one step, one drive, once a week. A few days ago for Selichot service, we gathered together at Beth Shalom, and we were presented with a great story of a Jew that is very much a Hasidic Jew and is dressed like a Hasidic Jew with the black coat and this white shirt and a long beard, and he's traveling on a train, and he sits on his wagon, and the person next to him, apparently a lady, looks at him very upset and in discomfort, and at one point she says to him, you know, it's because of you, it's because of Jews like you that look like you live in another century that, you know, you make us look bad, and people really think that we're not of this world and that we do all these crazy things. Look how you're dressed. And this Jew says, oh, excuse me, lady, but I'm not Jewish. I'm Amish. And the lady says, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you know, it's so wonderful that people like you keep your traditions and don't change with the time, and it's wonderful that you do that. And I think this story shows lots of things, but among us, I think very often we see how Jews were so open-minded, perhaps more than any other group, to explore anything. We explore Buddhism, and we explore other traditions and philosophies and ways of thinking. We're everywhere. Any discipline you look, you always see Jews are exploring that. Sometimes we do that much more than we explore our own tradition. So the question is, how much do you know about your own tradition, about the richness of your own religion? Sometimes we ourselves see it as outsiders. So I'll ask you to do one step in this area. Perhaps explore one Jewish ritual that you have not performed or you're not celebrating yet. Have you ever built a sukkah in your backyard? Have you ever worn a talit? Do you have one? Have you ever baked a challah on a Friday for your Shabbat dinner? Try one step. Do one of those. Try one ritual you have not done yet. Take the new Siddur. We have a new Siddur in our congregation full of text. Have you ever read what we say, what we believe, what Jewish tradition tells us, speaks about? Do you agree? Do you not? During services, sometimes we don't have all the time to do that. Take a Siddur. We'll invite you to take one and take it home and read it. I'm sure we'll be having lots of wonderful discussions after that. How about our holidays? Sometimes our holidays, if it's not Rosh Hashanah, may pass without many of us noticing them. Can you take one step and make sure that whatever the holiday is, you will do something so that your children will have a memory of it that will last for them? Just one thing that will give your children a memory that there was a holiday in your home. You know where you are in the ladder. You choose what that step would be. There's a very funny actor called Jason Alexander, probably remember, being in Seinfeld, and he's only Jason Alexander when he's on the screen. When he's out of the screen, he's actually Jay Greenspan. And Jay Greenspan, I'm sure today, is not on the screen anywhere, but he is exactly where you are. He is sitting in some congregation, in his own congregation for Rosh Hashanah services. And he used to, he tell the story when he was 12. One day, he was sitting, and perhaps was even on a Rosh Hashanah day, and he was in New York, where? At a Chinese restaurant, with his family, with his parents, and they were eating, of course, all kinds of sea creatures and seafood and all things like that. The thing to do on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur for a Jewish family. And so when he was seeing that, he was 12 and told his parents, but I go to religious school and they tell me that we cannot eat this, that this is not kosher. How come we're eating this? And his parents said, oh, forget about it. We're not religious Jews. We can eat this. And apparently Jason had this wonderful light in his eyes, and he said, oh, so that means I don't have to go to Sunday school anymore, right? And his mother apparently said something he always remembers, which is, listen, when you're a Jew, there's lots of people who want to kill you out there. So if one day you're going to die, you better know why. So you go to Sunday school. Now, he did go back to Sunday school, and he finished school, and now he's telling this story because now he's a father, and he's a Jewish father, and he has children, and he sends them to Sunday school. But yet, that was a seed planted in him, perhaps, but it's not good enough. And it's not good enough for him today because he's an adult. And his knowledge of Judaism, his knowledge, his understanding of Jewish tradition is not one of an adult. All he knows, all he understands is what he did the last time he put his mind into all of this, and he was when he was 12 and a half in that Sunday school. And that's not good enough for him. So now he's probably in a synagogue trying to figure out, what does this mean to me? And he had to take one step that he never thought he would take, which is he'll have to go to Sunday school now as an adult. What I'm trying to suggest is that there's a second area in which we all can take a step, no matter where we are in that ladder, and it's the area of Jewish knowledge. of Jewish learning and of our Jewish culture. When was the last time you took one class on anything related to Judaism? Literally, taking a class. There are world-class scholars in our area. Believe it or not, in North Carolina, there are world-class scholars on Bible, on Jewish studies, on Jewish tradition, on Jewish history, on all kinds. Take one step, listen to one of them, and see what happens next. Many of us read from a transliteration. You know what the next step is going to be. It's one simple step. Master the Hebrew. I know this is better when you're 12 or under 12, but still, as adults, we can all do this. If our children can do it, we can do it too. Master the Hebrew. It's a big step, but it's still one step up. Is Jewish music heard in your home or even in your car? You don't find it on the dial, but you can bring it there. It's a world, there's a wealth of Jewish music of all kinds. But you have to take one step. You have to go somewhere and get it and bring it. That's Jewish culture. That's enjoying Jewish life. Take that one step. In America, more than anywhere else, perhaps in history, we Jews are free. And we have amazing freedom. But we have mostly two freedoms that we never had before in America. And one is the freedom to be a Jew as much as we want. And we have the other freedom, which is to forget completely that we are Jewish if we want to. In other places, we weren't allowed. Here, if we want to forget about being Jewish, it's very easy to do. So we have to make one step to get involved, to embrace our identity. And the third area where I will invite you to take one step is in the area of our community. And this is something very simple because there's plenty of people in Beth Shalom, in this congregation, in this community, that are eager to embrace you. And this is something as simple as joining a group. We Jews don't do very well as individuals. If you would be stranded on a desert island somewhere, I don't know there would be much of a point in living a Jewish life. Living a Jewish life is what we do in a congregation. We do it with others. So you have to take that step, join a group. And by this I mean a men's club, or the 614, you should know, wonderful group of women that get to discuss and learn and talk with each other. A bridge club, a poker club, the backyard club, the garden brigade. There's all kinds of groups. Join with others. If you don't find a group that is interesting, let us know, because we'll make that group happen. We just need each other. When it's about your children, don't just do what Jay Greenspan's parents did, bring him to school. Give him also, not just a school, but give your children Jewish friends. They cannot drive themselves. They cannot make play dates on their own. Give your children Jewish friends. Make sure that they have their own community, they can connect.